Current events, new trends, and helpful products. Let's see what's in today's Cup of Poe.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched. And so rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream. 20 seconds into flight, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Plus 30 seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Reports say all systems are go.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We've exceeded Mach 1 on the Falcon 9.
M1D throttle up.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about 2.3 Gs, 2.3 times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We've heard the call out for MVAC engine chill. That's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation, and then ignition of the second stage engine to continue to carry astronauts into orbit. Coming up in about 20 seconds.
M1D throttle down.
We heard we're throttling down the Merlin engines on the first stage. And we have Miko.
Miko.
2 Alpha. Falcon stage separation confirmed. Copy, 2 Alpha.
MVAC ignition.
Welcome to today's Cup of Poe. I'm your host, Cindy Poe. And just in case you missed it, we had a historic event happen on Saturday. The U.S. launched 2 American astronauts into space from American soil for the first time in 9 years. Robert Bacon, Bob, we like to call him Bob, and Douglas Hurley, Doug, are the crew of the SpaceX Dragon. SpaceX, if you don't know, is a private company founded by engineer and technology entrepreneur Elon Musk. And SpaceX, alongside of NASA, created the first commercially built spaceship to carry humans to the International Space Station. So after the first launch was canceled due to weather, the country is watching, and I'm paying attention to everyone on social media. I was so excited to see so many people paying attention, but everybody was watching anxiously on Saturday to see if the launch would happen, and indeed it did. And then 19 hours later, Bob and Doug docked at the International Space Station, where they will spend anywhere, I believe, from the next month to 119 days. I don't know for sure what they have decided on that amount of time, but that's the time frame there. So I wanted to start the show today with this amazing piece of news. because as I'm going to continue to talk about this morning, not everything in the country that's happening is bad. And I think those of us who are trying to have a public voice, I think we have a responsibility to not just dwell on the bad, but also remind us how amazing our country is and the people that are in it, how amazing the people are. Now, as I was putting this show together, I'm realizing, and of course I know, that Americans are heartbroken and outraged by what happened to George Floyd. I have addressed that in previous podcasts, and I stand by everything that I've said. And in that video of that incident with Floyd and the police officers, we see everything that is wrong in the world. In that one clip, we see everything that is wrong in this world. The complete lack of compassion and even just simple humanity is void in that video. And I think it's important to understand and know that people, regardless of race or ethnicity, they're outraged and disgusted by what this animal did to Mr. Floyd. There's no excuse, and we must have reform in our systems at all levels. And I want to have a discussion about those reforms in future podcasts, and we will have that discussion. But today, I want to show you what real concern, outrage, and heartbreak looks like. Not to be confused with the criminal behaviors that are being incited by these hate groups and carried out by people who often are simply caught up in the violence. That's what these hate groups do. They look for people and they prey on them to drag them into this. And I'm not giving anyone an excuse for criminal behavior. Criminal behavior is criminal behavior. But we do have to look at these groups, and I was very happy to hear that the president is now going to label Antifa groups as terrorist groups, because even though you're thinking, oh, that's an anti-fascism group, but that's not what they are. They're anarchists, and they're criminal, and they're violent. And when I will do another show where we can show the proof of what these groups are doing. And I'm very glad that the FBI is looking into that, but that's not what today is about. The riots, the violence, the looting, the destruction of our communities, cities, businesses, those things are nothing short of criminal. And as far as I'm concerned, they're in the same category as the behaviors that we saw in that merciless officer who murdered Mr. Floyd. But there are some great examples all throughout America on how to respond to what is happening, how to respond as a caring community, demanding change and justice. And again, we should demand the change and the justice. But here are a few of my favorite examples. As I was going through, I was so excited to be able to find so many, and there's some I'm not even going to get to that I will write about in my blog. But these were so noteworthy, I didn't want to miss out on them. So I want to start in Flint, Michigan. Now, we know that Flint, Michigan has a lot of their own problems, and they're dealing with a lot of stuff. But I have to give a big thumbs up to Sheriff Chris Swanson for his response to the protests. When the protesters got to the police station, this was what was written about what happened. It was written that they reached the police station, the officers were lined up, and every one of them immediately took a knee. And the sheriff asked one question: "We are mad too. What can we do?" And the crowd responded, "Join us." And so that is what the sheriff did. And I'm going to show a video of that communication by Sheriff Swanson to the crowd.
Yeah, my man. Pastor Hawkins here. I'm just going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! 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 Walk with us!
Let's walk with us! Let's walk with us!
Look at the motherfuckers, stupid motherfuckers. Protest down! Protest down! Walk right there with me. Protest down!
Where's the man? Where do you want to walk? We'll walk all night. Tonight's a great night for a walk.
We're to Minnesota if we have to.
You get a chance, we'll pull some
Can we? Oh, sure. Yes, ma'am. That's right. That's right. That's what the police there.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Let's get it.
And that's just incredible leadership. And there's another video during the walk, a conversation that he's having with the crowd.
And you see people screaming at this man. Let me ask you, what could be going through your psyche at that time?
Listen, I've been a cop for 27 years. I don't get it myself. That's offensive to all police that do it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You can't defend that, man. You cannot defend
makes
that.
no sense.
No, you can't.
It's people there. But here's the thing.
Yes, don't.
It's the same as putting all black people in the same category.
But what position does it put us in if this is happening? Let's say, for instance, right? I have a bystander here, somebody who is recording. What does it do to a person that's a citizen if they run over on the police officer and start hitting them? Now you're going to charge them with something, but in actuality, they were trying to save somebody's life.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, George Floyd, he changed history. Because now when people see that, they're going to take action.
That's right.
That's what I think.
This is amazing.
It's no reason for that, you know? And the bad thing about it is that The horrible thing about it is that it keeps happening over and over, and it's always justified on the police department's part, but it's never justified on the person who's trying to protect themselves. At what position or point as a police officer is enough to where you got a person in handcuffs? What can they do?
Listen, I'm telling you. I get it, man.
How long does it take for a person to realize that it's a person that's right here that can't even defend themselves and
When the
protect
fight's
themselves?
over, the fight's over.
Listen, if you got an officer in front of you that's higher ranking than you, and you sitting back here because you're like, I need to play my position. At what point do you get into the picture and say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
It's been enough.
Yeah.
Get off of him.
That's what cops around the country need to do if they ever see that again.
Why does it keep getting justified?
I'm telling you, I think this whole thing across the country sends a message that's going to change the way police do business.
They need to.
I'm telling you, and it started right here. Look at this. Did you ever expect this?
No, we never expected it. But we here now.
Let me just say this. It's starting in Flint,
here
Michigan.
now.
It's starting in Flint, Michigan.
You're right.
It's starting in Flint, Michigan. And I think he's right. And what a wonderful conversation to have tape there. I think that was such an important conversation to be able to hear the gentleman talk about his concerns in a very real way. And the young woman who said, you know, we can't put all police officers in that same group. Like, not all police officers are like that. That's just like putting all Black people in a group. We have to stop doing that with everyone. Not every white person is a racist. Not every Black person is a criminal. Not every cop is out to kill you. We have to stop that, and we have to give the ability back to the people to be able to step up and do what's right. Just like the man in the video was describing. What if you're the onlooker and they knew that they were hurting George Floyd, but who's going to go and try to stop the police? But now I think that Sheriff Swanson is correct. I think that things are going to change, or at least they should change. And that's the reform, that's the change that we need to be demanding. And I do want to show the video that happened at the end of the night, once they had completed their walk. And it was just a phenomenal example of what a true protest, trying to make true change, is all about. And I'm going to show this video as well.
And we can't forget, on all our police cars across the nation, it says protect and serve. Protect and serve. That means all people. That means all people deserve the same dignity, and you can't call out what's wrong and try to make it right. And that's the magic we saw tonight. And we marched, not 1 ounce of damage. Nobody's arrested. Nobody got hurt. This is the way it's supposed to be.
So he's talking about how this is how the protests happen. And it was a really great example. And I have some other great examples that I'm going to show you too. But how wonderful that this sheriff stayed with the community and stood with them, not against them. And it's a wonderful example for the rest of the country. I hope he gets acknowledged for his actions. It was just truly amazing. There's another example of a wonderful protest that I saw that I wanted to share with you from Colorado. The protesters, just thousands and thousands of them there. I believe this is at the Capitol building, or it could be the courthouse. I'm actually not exactly sure. I'm not that familiar with Colorado, but wherever they are, they gathered together. And this is, I think, a fantastic example of what a protest can look like, and really show the solidarity of people in a good way. amazing demonstration of people coming together for one cause, one voice, one purpose, for the in a great way to serve the memory of George Floyd, who was so needlessly murdered. And this is a great way to honor him and to demand change. And I hope that we're going to see more and more of this. This is a protest, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big participator when it comes to protests and things like that. But this is one protest that I would happily join in with, because that is exactly what we have to remember. And that memory is how we're going to get the change. And we've seen, I think pretty much everyone has seen the picture of the peaceful protesters that were building a human wall around one single police officer. This was in Kentucky, who he had been separated from his team. But here is another great example, and I thought that picture was wonderful, and got to see it from not only the views from the crowd looking in at the officer, but someone was able to take a picture from the viewpoint of the police officer, and how frightening it must have been for him to look out and see all of those people who would have harmed him had it not been for the peaceful protesters who were protecting him. And I thought that was amazing. But there's another instance. I found this video floating around on social media, and I wanted to share this one. This one happened in Louisiana, and this police officer, if I had to look for the story a little bit, but what the best I could get is the police officer is consoling a young man who was afraid for his life because he was being approached by the police after they were telling him to get off of a statue he was climbing. And when the police were approaching him, he became afraid because he's being told that he should fear the police. The police are not there for him. And that is the message that we have to end. That message that people should fear the police. The police are there to protect you. They are there to help you. If you are committing a criminal act, then yes, they are there to bring you in for your due process. So it shouldn't be that they're trying to kill you before you even get your opportunity to defend yourself. That's why we're supposed to have a justice system. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So if you are committing a crime, if you do get pulled over because you are speeding, then you take your ticket and you move about your life. But you shouldn't fear the police. And it was just heart-wrenching to see this young man. And I thought this police officer did such a fantastic job consoling this young man. And I wanted to show this video.
I feel your pain too, okay? I feel your pain. We're here with y'all. We're here to help you. All right? Okay? Okay? It's all right. Look at me. It's all right. We're all here together, okay? All right?
And those are the kinds of police officers that we want to get behind. We want to raise them up and support them and let them know that we know they have our backs, and we want them to know that we know that they have our backs, and we want them to know that we have their backs. And it's important because I do truly believe that the vast majority of police officers are good people, and they just want to do their jobs. They want to serve their communities. And I know from all of my experience with the military that quite often a lot of military personnel will, when they leave the military, they'll go into law enforcement because that built-in desire to serve and protect lives in them. And so they choose law enforcement so they can continue to serve the community. So these kinds of police officers really need our support, and I love being able to show the videos. I think they're really important. There's another video that I thought was fantastic. It appears to be a video of a mother, and there's a line of policemen, and she's asking the police to please send the people home to their families and their moms, that they all have mothers who want them safe and sound. And I just thought this was this video really made me tear up. So I wanted to share this with you as well.
They got mamas, you see? And if you just give them a minute to get out of energy, you won't have no problem out of it. Okay? I appreciate your patience and your tolerance. My grandfather, first black police officer. Okay? Hurt people, hurt victims. Right? I don't want them to be hurt. Don't hurt them no more. I love you, man. I love you, man. I do. I know for you're being great today. I got good shit. You Al Pepco don't even get your ass looking today. I love you. My children, 13 and 16 dead. I ran dead.
So that was a very touching video. The mother just speaking with the police and saying, bring the babies home. Let the children come home to their families. That's all anybody wants, is they want their family safe and sound. So I thought that was a fantastic video as well. And as I was going through looking for, and like I said, I thought it was going to be really difficult to find videos of good stuff after everything that's been happening from last week through the weekend. And I was really pleased to be able to find so many just heartwarming videos that show the best of America and Americans and our police officers. And there was a video from the Houston police, and he's given a speech really talking about bringing the city together to protect their city, bringing the people together to protect the city, not just relying on the police to protect, but the people want to protect their communities too. That's what you have to know. In America, these rioting groups that you're seeing, they're not part of the communities for the most part. And I know you're going to hear people say differently on the news, and I know that people, like I said in the beginning of this, people get caught up following these groups, and I'm going to show you another video in a minute to explain that point further. But for the most part, people want to take care of their communities, and that's what we're seeing is people are fighting back, and unfortunately oftentimes they're getting hurt, but people want to fight back. And I thought that this officer talking to the community there in Houston, I thought this was a really exceptional speech to be giving to that community. So I'm going to share that one with you.
I told people don't say, we're just angry. And you know what I told them? Because for every black mother, brother, sister, uncle, cousin, they saw their family in George's face. They saw their brother in George's face. They saw their blood sitting on there quietly saying, please help me. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care what people think, because I know my God put me in this position not to keep my job, but to do my job and to lift him up. And we will get through this, because we're Houston. We will not let people come into our city and tear it up. And I'm here to tell you, to the fools that think that we're united, don't think that our kindness is weakness. Because when you try to tear up our city, you ain't going to have to face the police. You're going to have to face the people of Houston that will not let the memory of George Floyd be hijacked by anarchists that are doing Satan's work. God bless you all. Together we will get through this like we did here in Harvey and beyond.
That was pretty powerful. And he's right. Communities are coming together to take care of themselves, and people are not going to put up with these hate groups coming in and starting trouble There's a wonderful video that I'm going to show you of a woman who approaches a vehicle of who I can only assume is part of the Antifa group, these asshats who are going out giving bricks, handing bricks to young black men. In my book, this woman is a hero, and let's give her a medal, because I want you to pay attention to, she brings that brick back to these people, and she was kind enough to open the door to give the brick back to the person, you know, so she's way better than they are. So, but this was a great video, and if you haven't seen it, this is definitely one to share out for sure.
Bitch, don't give no group of black men no brick that don't do nothing. All right? What the fuck up? Go home. Why would you give that to them? They gonna get in trouble. You stupid. You a retarded bitch. All of y'all. Why the fuck would you give that to them? That shit is wild disrespectful. I don't give a fuck about your friends. I'm talking about this white bitch giving a group of black men a brick with them. You know that shit can get them killed. You know that. Just having that shit can get them killed. Y'all find yourself sensational. Go in the fucking house and kick everybody's ass. Go in the motherfucking house and let everybody's glasses off their face. Fuck y'all. That's some bullshit. What the fuck is that?
They just sitting there waiting to give somebody a brick.
A black man to walk by so you can hand them a brick. You know.
And that is, like I said, she is a hero. And by the way, I think you can see the license plate pretty good in that video. And I think that we should all jot it down and send that to the police right away and just inundate them with phone calls about that particular vehicle. But just crazy. There are people, and there are videos all over the place where there are just loads of bricks being dropped off in the middle, you know, in strategically placed in cities. All of these rioters who are coming there, you have to really look. These are professionals. These are professionals. And again, I'm gonna do a whole show about that. I want to keep this to the positive stuff happening. But this woman, what a wonderful human being that she had the guts to go up and shove that brick back in their face, because she's absolutely right. Just having that brick is enough to get someone killed. This is what we're talking about, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it. These people are influencing young people, and it has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. So bless her heart. You know, she is a great example of the best of us. So I would love to find out who that woman is and get an interview with her, because I think she is just amazing. But after all, this is America, and people will defend themselves. I'm hearing it from my friends on social media. I have friends that are telling me that their neighborhoods are being targeted, and they are being told by the police to be prepared to protect yourself and your family, and people will do it. This is why we have the Second Amendment, folks. The Second Amendment has a purpose. This isn't just about gun crazy people. We have the Second Amendment so that we can defend ourselves. We have the right to defend ourselves and our families, and not justifying killing people, you know, in cold blood. But if I'm going to be attacked, or my family's going to be attacked, like some of these videos I've seen, I promise you I'm going to defend myself, and I'm going to defend my family. And it appears that the good folks in Seattle and some of the communities there agree with me, and they are taking it upon themselves to take care of their own people.
He has a gun right there in the black
guys,
shirt.
This is in
the
Bellevue.
guy with the black guy.
Keep moving. This is in Bellevue, both these.
We're really out here. Okay, nah, I got you.
Keep going.
Take it. Like, all these white people. Look at them with their guns. Look at that little boy. He's a young man with a gun.
Oh my God.
He's like 16. What?
I find that so funny. They're concerned that the 16-year-old has a gun, and the fact that they're white, that they have a gun. I mean, if you're protecting your neighborhood, again, I don't care what color your skin is. You have a right to protect your family if you are going to be attacked. Now, those people are not going to hurt anyone who does not have the intent to hurt them or try to destroy their property or steal their property. And for people who want to take it upon themselves to do that, they are taking matters into their own hands. And these people, because of the Second Amendment, we're allowed to defend ourselves. So I find it just really funny, the attitudes of people who just do not understand the concept of what this country is really built on, how this is a government for the people, by the people. We are supposed to control the government. The government's not supposed to control us. We protect our families, and the police are there to help protect and serve us. That's why things like what happened with Mr. Floyd are just completely unacceptable, because that's not what the police are there for. Mr. Floyd was not a violent criminal. And at some point, they had to know that he was subdued. He was on the ground and he was not going anywhere. So that is not, that is not what their job is. And this is where we have to look for this change. But all these videos that I've shown you, I was so happy to see so many good things happening, so many good police officers doing the right thing, and so many communities coming together to do the right thing. The point is, even though the news, when you turn the news on, it just seems grim, just remember that this country has overcome a lot in its history. And this will be just another blip on the radar as far as riots and criminal behavior by those with an agenda. And we can't let them take things over. They have an agenda, and we can't let them win. We can't let them tear us apart. There's always those who want to destroy us, and they will use whatever opportunity they can. The injustice of the death of George Floyd was the perfect opportunity to divide and conquer, and we can't let them win. There are bad cops. There are bad cops at all levels of the systems. We know that. As conservatives, we definitely know that. We also know that the vast majority of good, decent people who do in fact want to protect and serve you and me, all of us, the vast majority of police are good, decent people who want to protect and serve. They want to protect and serve all of us. But it's way past time, and change must be demanded. Our system is broken. And when a system does more harm than good, it must go through a change. People like Sheriff Swanson seem to get that message. People want to know that they matter and that they're valued. We need to show more of that on a daily basis. Police should be out in the communities daily, interacting with the people. People should know the police by name. I heard one YouTuber say, we need the police to be like in the Andy Griffith Show. We need more connections. They're there to serve us and protect us and do good for us. They're there looking out for us. They're not there to control us. They're not there to demand things from us. Again, criminal behavior, if you're doing something wrong, you're doing something wrong. And part of protecting the community is handling those that are doing something wrong. Criminal behaviors, there's that. But sometimes a good police officer should be able to see how to handle a situation, So we need more of those connections between the public servants, the police officers, the firemen, the doctors, the nurses, the first responders, teachers. We need more connections. We need more connections between the people and the people who are they're serving us in different capacities. Because they're all people too. The police officers are people too. So we need that community connection, and we need to start demanding that. And there has to be change. There has to be change. And as far as agendas, for those who are trying to use these riots and the inaction of the Minneapolis Police Department to somehow blame the president, well, you're just as guilty as those inciting riots in the streets. Perhaps this is a time to realize that all government leaders should be working together with the president to make those needed changes to build a better country for all people. As I close out, I'm reminded that of a tweet that I saw from Kirstie Alley, who I've really gotten to really like a lot. I mean, I always liked her in shows and movies, but I really like her on social media. She's a very kind-hearted person, very down-to-earth. I like her a lot, and I do follow her on social media, but she tweeted out this, and I want to read it exactly. I don't want to paraphrase. She said, I'm going to concentrate on finding new ways to help change inequality and injustice in this country, especially for people of color. I don't know exactly what to do, but need to find out. I've taught it to my children and tried to always live by it, but I need to do more. We all do. And I do agree with her, but I also want to add something. I would add that perhaps the way to fight injustice based on differences is to stop labeling and constantly pointing out the differences. We are all the same people. And until we start acting like that, until we start truly believing and acting like we're all the same people, nothing is going to change. So, thank you for listening. As always, I appreciate your time. I never take it for granted. Time is definitely a commodity, and I know how important it is. So I appreciate you taking time out to spend time listening to what I have to say. I would ask you to please follow my podcast and go to justanamericangirl.com and subscribe to my blog with your email. And I promise you, I only send one email a week. I do not overrun your inbox with messages every single day. Nobody needs to hear from me every day. But I'm going to leave you, as I always do, with Mama Po's invitation to be fearless, be gracious, and be authentic. And I'm going to add, please be kind to one another. Peace out, everyone.